when the stone spoke. A journey through time, into the heart of the great Pharaoh civilization, the voice of the Nile. At the beginning of time, when there were no towers or machines, there was a river. Its name, Nile. Long like an eternal sword, it cut through the dry desert, and on both sides it brought forth a green that existed nowhere else. There arose a civilization unlike any other. A civilization that not only spoke through stones, but in its silence preserved the secrets of the gods and stars. It was once called Tameri, which means the beloved land. Today we call it Ancient Egypt, the city beneath the stars. In a city called Waset, today known as Luxor, life pulsed like a divine heartbeat. The day began before sunrise. Fields beckoned, farmers sought blessings, then toiled. With wooden plows pulled by strong oxen, they broke the hard earth. Sweat on their faces, faith in their hearts, the Nile would always return. The women worked at home, grinding wheat, baking bread, brewing barley beer, and weaving fine linen. The wife was the heart of the household, teacher, confidant, guardian of the family. At the market, voices came from all directions. A spice trader from the south, a stonemason from the north, a child playing a flute. All wore white linen garments and smelled of myrrh and incense, kings, gods, and the pharaoh between them. At the center of this world stood one man above all others, the pharaoh. Not just a king, but a god on earth, son of the sun god Ra, his living shadow among the people. But he did not rule alone. At his side, the vizier, the scribes with their papyrus scrolls, priests with divine knowledge, and soldiers who guarded the borders against Libyans in the west and Hittites in the north. One of the greatest among them was Ramses II, builder of the temple at Abu Simbel, whose walls he adorned with his deeds like stone-carved poetry. Before him, Amenhotep III, Thutmose III, and Queen Hatshepsut, who was bold enough to wear the white crown and declare herself daughter of Amun. The priests, guardians of eternity. The temples were not only places of worship, but also centers of science and administration. In the Temple of Karnak, priests studied astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. They observed the sun, predicted the time of the Nile flood, and calculated the year with impressive accuracy. Every morning, the god's statue was washed, clothed, anointed, and honored with food. The Holy of Holies could only be entered by the high priest, for only he understood the secret language in which the gods spoke in silence. Secrets of medicine and agriculture. Egyptian medicine. In papyrus scrolls like the Ebers Papyrus and the Edwin Smith Papyrus, physicians described precise remedies for diseases. They used honey, milk, incense, even crocodile skin at times. The doctor, called Sunu, swore to heal both body and soul. He understood the human body and knew the circulation of the heart, which they called the ways of life. Agriculture. Every summer, the Nile overflowed its banks and left behind fertile black silt. The Egyptians divided the year into 3 seasons: Akhet, flooding; Peret, sowing; Shemu, harvest. They grew wheat, onions, garlic, and grapes. And because the Nile never failed its rhythm, they lived in order and security. The pyramids do not die. In the silence of the desert, stones were stacked, one upon the other, into structures like no other, the pyramids. They were not just tombs, but gates to eternity. In the time of Pharaoh Khufu, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, not by magic, but through the labor of thousands of skilled workers who lived in villages, ate meat and bread, and were paid by the state. Inside, the embalmed king, surrounded by gold, food, and figurines, everything he would need for the afterlife. Death is not the end, But the beginning, the ancient Egyptians believed the soul began a journey after death. It stood before 42 judges in the court of Osiris, where the heart was weighed against the feather of truth. If the heart was pure, the soul reached the fields of Yaru, where there was no hunger or pain. That is why they mummified their dead and placed the Book of the Dead beside them, a book full of spells to protect them on their journey. Death was not to be feared, but a preparation for a long voyage. When language became alive, the language of the pharaohs was written in 3 forms: hieroglyphs, sacred, hieratic, daily, demotic, simplified. The scribe held great status. He carried the pen, not the sword, and sat beside the pharaoh during ceremonies. They carved everything into stone: wars, rituals, scenes of daily life, as if they knew the future would read them, from the past to the present. And though the language has faded and many secrets are lost, ancient Egypt still astonishes us today. With every tomb opened, every statue, every papyrus, a new layer of this immortal civilization is revealed. Today, people visit Abu Simbel, Luxor, Karnak, and walk in the shadow of greatness. But the story lives not in the monuments alone, but in the people. In the sculptor who gave Ramses a face, in the woman who washed Hatshepsut's feet, and in the child who dreamed of becoming a scribe one day. The unbreakable stone. Ancient Egypt was a civilization in rhythm with the Nile, with its eyes turned to the heavens. Not a culture of mere stone, but of spirit, order, and faith in the meaning of life. And today, in a world of constant change, this ancient culture still whispers to us, "He who knows his past does not fear the future." If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. See you next time.